Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm back. It's been far too long since I've been off YouTube, at least for me. I've been in the middle of moving to a new place, and it's just dealing with the stress of getting everything unpacked and settling in, but whatever the case, I'm back. Sorry for the delay. Now let's get into this very late review. So the first 2019 movie I'm actually going to talk about is the one that's making all the money right now, Glass, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and is the third and final movie in what's called the East Rail 177 trilogy, which basically consists of Unbreakable, Split, and this movie. And it's pretty much a follow-up to those three movies where the characters of David Dunn, played by Bruce Willis, Kevin / the Horde, played by James McAvoy, and Mr. Glass, played by Samuel L. Jackson, are at this institution where a doctor, played by Sarah Paulson, tries to convince these characters that they are not superheroes and that they're delusional, they're just crazy. And that's really all I'm going to get into with this movie. By now, I'm sure all of you have seen this movie already. It's been out for almost 2 weeks, but I still wanted to review it because A, it's my job, and B, I actually have a very interesting history with this series, because up until Glass came out, I had never seen Unbreakable. I know, but I saw it hours before seeing Glass, and I thought it was really good. I don't love the movie, though, because I feel like over the course of 19 years since this movie came out, people have just been overhyping it, but it's very suspenseful. Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson are great. It's got a real sense of mystery to it, and you're just wondering what's going on with this character. And it was kind of cool that it ended up being an original superhero movie and with a really neat twist. So definitely one of Shyamalan's best movies. Then we have Split, which I did see in theaters when it came out, and I thought it was a really cool, suspenseful horror thriller. And with that ending, even though I had not seen Unbreakable beforehand, I knew immediately that, oh, this is connected to Unbreakable, because I've heard so much about that movie before actually seeing Unbreakable that I just kind of got the hint of, yeah, these two movies are connected, and that was the big twist in itself. So now we have Glass. Now that we're already established with this world, now that we know that Unbreakable and Split are connected, we have finally the culmination and a movie that's named after the third superpowered being, Mr. Glass. And I gotta say, the first thing I thought to myself when I walked out of the movie was, well, so much for M. Night Shyamalan's comeback. A lot of people consider his first few movies, Signs, Unbreakable, and The Sixth Sense, to be really good, and then he just kind of declined into shit with Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender, After Earth, and then he had a tiny resurgence with The Visit and Split, which both I thought were really good. And I don't know really what went wrong with this movie. I feel like it has to deal with a couple of factors. One, people have been looking forward to a sequel to Unbreakable for a long time, or at least a movie where we knew it was a sequel to Unbreakable, but really, this is more of a sequel to Split than anything else, because James McAvoy's character is the one that gets the most attention, he steals the show, whereas Bruce Willis, once again, is just sleepwalking through this movie. It did not seem like he cared one bit. It seemed like he was just there to collect a paycheck, and even if he did care, David Dunn just doesn't really have anything to do this time around, so that's really disappointing. Another thing that really doesn't work about this movie is the superhero aspects. At this point, this movie is fully established as being a superhero movie. Unbreakable was a superhero movie, Split was revealed to be a superhero movie of some sorts, and now that we're fully aware that this is a superhero universe, a lot of those superhero elements pretty much come in the form of Sarah Paulson basically telling these three characters that they aren't superheroes, they think they have supernatural abilities like out of a comic book, but they don't, they're just crazy. And at a certain point, it just becomes a lecture on the history of comic books. And not only is it a lecture on comic books, but it's a lecture on stuff that we already know, the basics, like that Metropolis is pretty much New York City. It's going over the basics of other more famous superheroes like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. And the thing is, we're in 2019. Not only are we in an era where we've had dozens of Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man movies, but we've had movies based on lesser-known characters that are making all kinds of money, like Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Aquaman, Wonder Woman. So by this point, we are fully versed in comic book movies, and it's become to a point where it's not a niche thing anymore. It is a mainstream thing. So for a majority of this movie to pretty much be comic books 101, the course, it just felt unnatural and kind of boring. And it also really felt awkward when a lot of the characters just looked directly into the camera. I mean, I understand that's a trait of M. Night Shyamalan, but it just feels weird, especially when it looks like the characters are giving you lectures about comic books for stuff that, again, we already know. If I can say some positive things about the movie before I actually wrap it up, I actually did like the opening. I like where we get reintroduced to David Dunn and see what he's doing with his life now that he's an established superhero. I think the idea of having all these characters in an insane asylum being told that you don't have supernatural abilities is a good idea, but it's ruined by not only the ongoing lectures about comic books, but also the fact that this is the most understaffed hospital I have ever seen. I know this is a Blumhouse movie, but this movie cost around $30 to $40 million, and that's a budget that's usually higher than most Blumhouse movies. They really couldn't afford a bigger staff or just showcase other inmates in this asylum, because it seems like this place only has 4 to 5 people working, and in terms of your patients, it's only these 3 guys. And it's even more frustrating considering that last year we had Upgrade and Halloween, 2 other Blumhouse productions that had smaller budgets. I think Upgrade cost around $5 million, and they did so much more with that budget. And you look at this movie and you're like, where the hell did that money go? And then the movie has a very anticlimactic ending. Now, I didn't go into this expecting a giant Marvel or DC superhero punch-out, but with where it ends and with the movie's big twist, it is just stupid. And since I had just seen Unbreakable right before seeing this movie, it kind of made me mad because I wanted to know more about David Dunn's character now that he's fully established as a superhero. And not only do they do nothing with the character, but the ending just makes you go, why did we waste our time watching this movie? So I don't have much else to say about this movie. I just think, on the whole, it's bad. It's not god-awful. It does have some good scenes. It has a great opening and some good moments here and there, and the potential for some good ideas. But it just feels underwhelming. It's slow. It's boring. James McAvoy and Anya Taylor-Joy are really good in the movie, but Bruce Willis doesn't even seem to be trying, and Sarah Paulson does look kind of disinterested. And while Samuel L. Jackson is good, he doesn't have much to do either. He spends most of his time just being in a wheelchair and doing the same thing he did in Unbreakable, which is pretty much narrate what's going on through the movie, like those little text boxes you see in a comic book, where they're not actually characters speaking, but actually narration. So yeah, I just didn't like it, and I would say don't waste your money on it either. It's just not worth going to see it in a theater, and I find it funny that this movie's being advertised as you have to see it in IMAX, when really, there's nothing in this movie that warrants an IMAX viewing. Like, you're just gonna waste a ton of money if you see this in IMAX. I know a lot of people have already seen this movie. I know people have talked about it a lot, so there's a lot of different opinions, but again, I wanted to get my own opinion out there and just say that any hope I had for Glass being good was shattered. I couldn't help myself. So there you go, that's my review for Glass. I do apologize that I've been gone for so long, but I'm here, I'm back. Now I want to hear what you guys have to say about Glass. If you've seen it, what did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. What are your opinions on Unbreakable or Split? And do you think this movie really just ruined everything that came before? Again, let me know below. And until next time, I hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and of course leave a comment. Don't forget to support my Patreon page, follow me on social media, and until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.